Hello, 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 and welcome to the zone where we help you elevate your speaking skills. And today we have a very, very special guest because he is helping us to break down language barriers with AI. He has been on our show here before, and today he's going to show a product that will be very, very interesting, especially for those that are running their podcasts or live shows on YouTube. You will see it today here as one of the first ever. Let me welcome Jordan Orlick. Jordan, my friend, how are you?
Doing great, Claudio. Thank you so much for having me again. This is always an honor and super exciting.
Good morning, early morning to you, right? You're in California,
Yep,
so it's just shortly after 7 o'clock. Some people call this an
yep.
ungodly hour. I'm amongst those. I absolutely appreciate that you are here such an early hour. And we have a couple of viewers online as well. We
Mhm.
have Nathan Gold. He's joining us from San Francisco in
Yeah.
California, and you've got a Mac, right, Jordan?
Yes, I do. That's why I got these cool effects.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And of course, Nathan is always and already impressed with the graphics that you are displaying here,
Thank you,
Jordan.
thank you.
We have a couple of other viewers I see. If you want to say hello in the chat, we have Yash from India as well. Yash, this will be great for you being outside of an English speaking territory because this is what Jordan is all about, breaking down those language barriers with AI. Jordan, you have visited us a couple of weeks, short months ago, and
Mhm.
you are never sleeping. You are bringing out so much new stuff. It is absolutely amazing. So, today
Oh,
you're going to
thank
show
you.
us something that is relevant to
Mhm,
podcasters, right?
mhm. Correct, 100%.
All
Yep, and this
right.
this tool will actually yep, and this tool will help with everything from podcasts to any type of interview, any type of real communication between two or more people that would require, in a kind of an interview podcast setting.
Excellent. And, I am so curious how this episode here will unfold because we are doing this
Mhm.
absolutely unscripted,
Yes.
unrehearsed. We were still fiddling with sound and settings about 2 minutes ago. So let's just see how ultimately this works. Now, I always like to keep things a little bit on the playful side. So
Yep.
today we are going to start right out off the gate with a little bit trivia. We don't have so many live viewers yet, but I think we have enough to make this a fun trivia round as
Mhm.
well. So let's bring up the first question here, which is, what percentage of Americans prefer to speak a different language other than English at home?
Mhm.
Is it A, 12%, B, 17%, C, 21%, or D, 28%? Again, the possible choices are A, 12%, B, 17%, C, 21%, and D, 28%. And we have to give our viewers just a small little amount of time here because we have some latency to deal with. And I do not see, oops, I do not see any um, answers coming in yet, which is all right because that means I can fix my setup here very, very quickly.
This is all on
Um,
the fly here. We're good.
this is one of these days, and anybody who is dealing with technology probably knows what I'm going through right now. So here we go. All right.
There we go.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. So we have also a couple people that are just joining us. So Nathan says D, 28% prefer to speak English, not English at home in the United States. Kai goes with D as well. Vinod, great, great to have you back. Hello there. And we have Yash with a D. Vinod says B. Hey, we have Earl Greater here as well. He is doing a B. And yeah, look at that. I am human. All right. So, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So we have B's and D's predominantly. Now, Jordan, of course, you would know the correct number. What is the correct number?
Mhm. And the correct answer is C, 21%. So I'm glad that you guys guessed between B and D. That's really good. We're actually currently at 21% here in the United States that prefer to speak a different language than English other than at home. Or other, sorry, at home. Also outside of home, they probably want to speak a different language too, but primarily at home,
Right.
they speak 21%.
Right. This is absolutely an amazing, startling number to me, right? Because that means if
Oh,
you're
yeah.
sitting in a bus with 20 people, four of them will go home and
Mhm.
speak something different than English. Um,
Correct.
Amazing.
It's it's
Absolutely
crazy when
amazing.
you Oh yeah, completely
Mhm.
crazy, especially if you're in the US, and you're a native English speaker. You probably don't really come into contact too often, or you don't think much of it when you come into people who don't speak different languages, right? But like you just mentioned, Claudia, you go to a restaurant and one in four people or one in five people don't speak English. But you have no
Mhm.
idea just because you just probably don't interact or you just don't see that. But it's crazy to think about that one in four, one in five people don't want to speak English or just don't speak English at all when they get home.
It absolutely is because when I think about, your services and your company and
Hmm.
translation, I always think
Hmm.
about international and global
Hmm. Yep.
markets out there, right? That yeah, you are helping
Hmm.
Americans to communicate with
Hmm.
Chinese and Thais and whatever you have out there. But
Yep,
no,
correct.
you're actually helping people communicate within the
Mhm.
United States and breaking down those
Yep,
language barriers.
correct, 100%. Yeah, it's just like I said, it's just crazy, just even in your own backyard, everywhere in the country, people just speak different languages and just, engaging with your audience, it's just
Mhm.
a whole different, just something that affects everyone here.
So, what does that mean for your products? Where are they
Mhm,
used inside of the States? Give me a couple of
mhm,
use cases where
mhm,
people rely
mhm,
on translation or make their
mhm,
lives or jobs better
mhm.
through translation.
Mm. Of course. So, well, translation as a whole can be applied really anywhere, where anywhere communication is used, right? Within Let's Chat fit within pretty much everywhere as well. Some of the use cases I'll explain here just for a quick second are within the automotive sector. So imagine we go try to buy a vehicle. Currently, most dealerships, most places are just primarily in English. Maybe they have one other language they support. But imagine you want to buy a car and you speak, let's just say Russian, for example. Most dealerships probably to the day, unless they have LetzChat installed, don't support Russian, right? So if you go to the website, the whole website's going to be in English, and you're not going to understand how to purchase a vehicle, but you need to buy a vehicle. So with LetzChat installed, we'd be on the website. We can translate that whole website into Russian immediately for that speaker, so they're now able to engage and learn what they need to do, and hopefully purchase the vehicle because they need to drive around different places. We also do that on the restaurant or food and beverage side of the house. We'll help translate menus. We'll translate back of house. So when an order comes in, an employee can see it in their language. I'll work within kiosks where we can translate the full kiosk. So when a customer walks in and they speak any language that's other than English, the kiosk will translate in their language so they can place an order. And more importantly, they can even look at the ingredients. They can look at what's included. So there's no, any medical issues, anything comes up, they can feel exactly welcome as an English speaking customer would. And we do the same thing across all verticals, anything in there as well. But those are just some use cases that most people can relate to.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And you are already you've installed your software
Correct.
in a couple of corporations.
Mhm,
Do you already have data that shows
mhm.
the impact
Yeah.
of having
Mhm.
these translations?
100%. Yep, I do have a bunch of data on that. Everything from just including, excuse me, when you put your website, you put your mobile app, you put your marketing information in different languages, whatever it may be, even if you just test with one language, say you want to just add Spanish to your repertoire, right? Or you want to add French or German or Thai, whatever it may be, you will increase your engagement among those individuals that speak a different language by 120%. That's just average across the board. Sometimes it'll be more. We see upwards of 200, 300% engagement increases just from having the language capability. Also, a fun fact that is kind of a scary fact is that about 70% of consumers do not want to do business with a website or a product that is not in their language. So it's kind of scary when you think about it that if you're in the US, 20% of your customers may be speaking a different language. And then out of those 20%, 70% of those won't engage with you at all. They won't even do business with you. They'll go to the website and be like, oh, it's not my language. I'm going somewhere else. And so
That's
it's a
amazing.
fun little fact there. Yep.
That is absolutely amazing, and there are so many
Mhm.
languages, of course, spoken
Yes. Mhm.
in the US alone. And this gets me to the next
Mhm.
trivia round right now, which
Mhm.
is how many languages are actually spoken in the United States? How many different languages are spoken in the United States? Is it less than 100? B, 100 to 200? C, 200 to 300? Or D, more than 300? So again, the choices of how many languages are spoken in the United States is A, less than 100, B, 100 to 200, C, 200 to 300, or D, more than 300. Let's have a look at what our audience thinks here. We have less than 100. A. Kai says less than 100. Yash says less than 100, but isn't sure. Nathan, A. Vinod, B. Somewhere between 100 and 200. All right. And Kai, yeah, he can't imagine more than 20, right?
Hey, that's good.
And I was as baffled as anyone when you told me the number. And then, of course, I was like, I cannot believe that. And I went Googling, and
Mhm.
long and behold, what's the correct answer in this one here,
So
Jordan?
fun fact, I'll actually give a hint first, is that in California alone, there's more than 200 different languages spoken, just in California alone. So that's a fun fact. And the correct answer, unless I'm incorrect here, is going to
Uh-huh.
be number D there, more than 300. I
More
want to
than
say that's correct on that
300.
one.
Ding, 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 ding,
Good.
ding. And
I was going to say, I'm like, I know California has more than 200. Fun fact. I'm like, I know there's more in other states.
absolutely. So, what are some of these languages that Because usually,
Mhm.
again, normal people like Kai and I, we
Yep.
look at
It's,
Europe. We
yes.
count maybe 20, 30 languages in all the different countries.
Yes.
How are we getting up to 300 languages,
It's
Jordan?
crazy. Yeah, well, the US, as everyone hopefully knows, is we're a really big melting pot. People coming from all over the world. In the world alone, this may be another one of your questions. There's many, 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 many more languages than 300 that are spoken worldwide. And I'm not going to say the number in case that's one of your other questions coming up here. but um, but there are many, many languages spoken worldwide. And because of that, people come to the US. Now, Let's Chat, we support 104 different languages. We support anything that has over what we'd like to consider about 1,000 speakers. Uh, or maybe it might be a little more than that, about 1,000 to 2,000 speakers. We have that language on our platform. If they're less than that, we don't technically have that supported so far. But why there's 300 languages, there's dialects of every language. So if
Hmm.
you are familiar with Spanish, Spanish has 10, 15, 20 different dialects based on the country you're from. If you want to get even
Okay.
funnier, yep. And this is included in this is not included in the language count, but when you think about English, there's also different dialects of English, right? You have US
Hmm.
English, you have UK English, you have Australian English, New Zealand. Some people in the US may even count the Texas accent as a different language, or even a New York accent as a different language. Those are not counted, however, in that count, but the different dialects of the other languages are, because Mexico Spanish is very different from Spain Spanish, right? So that's they consider as a
Yeah.
different language. But
Yeah.
there are also many, many, many different languages that people don't like to think about from all over the world. If you go to India, for example, India has,
Hmm.
I think, 10 different languages that are official languages, some number like that, and all 10 of those are spoken out in the US in different regards.
Yeah.
And so
Okay.
that's why
That
that's
makes
why our numbers are
sense.
massive.
Yeah, 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 that makes
Mhm,
sense. And by the way, there isn't a
mhm,
question coming up about how many
mhm,
total languages in the world.
mhm.
How many are there?
Okay. Right now there's over 7,000 different languages in the world.
7,000.
7,000.
7,000.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep, and a lot of them, the majority are spoken, like I said, about 100 or less or have more than 1,000 speakers. The rest of the
Hmm.
6,900 are pretty much, split up between languages, unfortunately, that are disappearing from this earth. More
Hmm.
so a lot of native languages, some tribal languages, small languages like that are the ones that make up a smaller, portion, and also a lot of languages aren't even written down. So when you get to, like, Native American languages, those are not
Hmm.
written down, so we don't really
Hmm.
know a full count of how many people speak those.
That is so fascinating. And, I actually come from a country, I'm from
Mhm.
Switzerland
Yep.
originally, right? And in Switzerland, we have four
Mhm.
languages, but a lot of people
Mhm.
struggle naming the fourth language, right? So
Mhm.
people know, okay, it's German, French, and Italian. And then,
Mhm.
the wild guess is usually English, but
Yep.
no, it's not English.
No.
It's an old language. Do you know it,
Mhm.
Jordan?
I do, yep, I do, it's Schweizerdeutsch, it's Swiss German.
Well, that's the German
Yes,
variation,
right.
right? But there is actually a fourth
Oh,
language called
oh,
Romansch.
there you go. Yep, that's it,
Yeah,
yep, that's gonna be my other guess.
Rätoromanisch
Yep,
in
yep, yep,
German,
yep, I just saw that come in, yep.
Rätoromanisch. Yeah, in English it's Romansch, right? And
Mhm,
and it's a language that I believe in maybe 50 years will not be spoken
yep,
anymore because it
mhm,
is, on the decline severely,
yep,
severely. Very fascinating. Languages,
yep,
it is a fascinating topic, and um, we will get to your latest product in
oh, no worries.
just a moment. But we were talking about worldwide languages, 7,000,
Yes,
7,000. You are covering more than 100 with all of your
correct.
products, right?
Mhm,
So let's
mhm,
go back to the trivia quickly and see,
mhm,
out of those 7,000,
mhm,
which language
mm,
is the second most widely spoken native language in the world? Not
mhm,
the most widely, but the second most widely spoken language in the
mhm,
world. Is it A, Hindi, B, Mandarin, C, English, or D, Spanish? Again, the choices for the second most widely
mhm.
spoken language in the world: A, Hindi, B, Mandarin, C, English, or
Mhm,
D, Spanish. Let's see whether we have some comments here already. Yes, we have Kai with B, Mandarin.
mhm,
Earl says D, Spanish. Vinod, B. Nathan, B. And we have Yash with C,
mhm.
English. Okay. And it almost sounds like a trick question, but it's not, because I put the word native language, right? So
Mhm,
Yash might be correct in some cases, but when you consider it
mhm.
the native language, do you know it, Jordan? Which one is the second
I
most spoken?
I believe the second most spoken language is Spanish. I
You
believe
are
that's correct.
absolutely correct.
Good.
And
Okay. Good. I'm glad I'm on my
oh, oh,
my language data here.
I'm glad you're doing your effects here, because I just realized for the last 2 3 episodes I've lost my
Mhm.
little ding whenever the yellow
Oh.
thing is coming up. I can hear it, maybe you can hear it on your side, but our audience can't. I can see that. So my apologies. From now on, I'm gonna do the ding. But yeah, so Spanish is the second
Mhm.
most spoken language. The most spoken language is Mandarin, right?
Yep.
Because China is just a huge, huge country, and the majority of Chinese speak
Mhm.
Mandarin. But it was surprising to me to learn that it is Spanish. Now, before you mentioned some stats about, all the different Spanish dialects. Do you know by any chance how many people totally speak
Oh,
Spanish?
now that is a good question. Off the top of my head, I couldn't. I'm going to assume it's close to a few billion people. I'm
Mhm.
assuming maybe a billion people speak Spanish, is my guess.
I couldn't
Somewhere in that
find it.
ballpark.
Yeah,
Mhm,
I didn't even look it up, but yeah, it must be a billion or so
mhm.
because
Oh yeah.
I would think Hindi is also way up there, right? So
Oh yeah. Yeah, and it's just it's crazy to think when kind of like with that trick, well, not a trick question there, but with that question is that English, I believe, is number 3 or 4 on the list, right? Or it might be
yes.
around that number. And when people think about translation or language in general, they're like, oh, English is the number one language in the world. Well, that's not the case. As
Mm,
you can look up the facts. There's more people that speak Mandarin Chinese and Spanish and Hindi
yes.
than there are English speakers
Yeah,
out there. It's just we
absolutely.
just tend to use English for business, but that's not even
Mhm.
really the case. It's just because we just think English is a language for business.
That's it. That's it.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
Mhm,
All right. So, Jordan,
mhm.
let's see whether we can get this demo running here. I am
Perfect.
absolutely excited and want to see how exactly this
Mhm,
works. Now, for our audience, um,
mhm.
I've prepared here a QR code. So, if you have your smartphone somewhere ready, simply scan this QR code or go to
This
bit.ly slash zone dash Jordan, both of it capitalized. And I see the title is also messed up. This is not the AI blueprint for business. This is the Let's Chat podcast product. Ay,
it's
ay, ay, ay,
okay. It
ay, ay, ay.
works.
I am showing my humanness here today, but we have to do these things so we absolutely
Yep.
distinguish ourselves from all these AI variations of ourselves that are popping up because, quite frankly,
Yeah.
soon you will not know, is it me or is it some avatar that I'm sending out here to do my
Mhm,
weekly live show? So, I would assume that people have already scanned this
mhm,
code out there, and I did the same thing, right? I scanned this code. So on the right side here, you're seeing my phone. This one here is my phone. It still has a remnant from before. Should I just
mhm.
reload the
Yeah, just
page?
refresh your page.
Yeah,
Yep,
okay.
and that should be gone.
There we
There you
go.
go.
So this is, if you scan the code, this is what you should see on your phone right now, right? And Jordan, give us a demo. How
Thank
does this
you.
thing work? The floor is yours.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, this right here is our podcast. We call it the podcast translation tool, but this tool can be used for any type of event, any type of activity where there's at least 2 people, or I guess you could do one person with it as well, but where there's people going back and forth where they may speak different languages. And so we actually created this product. We actually did a podcast about a month ago for a professional skateboarder named Tony Hawk. You can actually view this if you go online and find his podcast with him. He's interviewing a gentleman called Felipe Nunez. He was not was he is a Portuguese skateboarder, and by the reason why I say Portuguese is he does not speak any English. He speaks fluent Portuguese from Brazil, and so Tony actually had us there to translate in real time between his English and
Mhm.
Felipe's Portuguese, and so they're able to communicate in real time, ask each other questions, and the interview is actually really cool. And so we actually built this tool because of that. And so now people are utilizing this tool to help with like that podcast, which what we call it that because it's inspired by a podcast, but can be used for any type of interview, anything like that. But how it works is I'll be talking in English for the sample here. You'll see it come through Claudio's screen here on the side in German. I want to say, don't forget to change your language
Oh,
if you don't mind.
yes.
If you're following
Yeah.
along, yep. If you're following along on your phone, you'll see Claudio there. You can change your language to put it in any language to hear it come out. If you click that autoplay button and it turns it to a green checkbox, that means you will hear it on your device come out in your language, whatever you decided to choose there. If you don't hit the autoplay, if you hit that play all button after stuff has been added, it will just play it in sequence for you. What you're seeing on the screen here, this is what we call the moderator, as most podcasts or most tools have a moderator with it. Right now, it's set up for Claudio and myself to talk. I'm just going to be speaking in it for this demo here. But with that, and if you are joining and you didn't get a chance to scan the QR code, there is a QR code right here that you can scan to get in that. But with that, let me get started so you can see how this works. I'm going to just refresh and reconnect here. And I'm going to speak in English. I'm going to turn this to auto send. So as I talk, it'll automatically come through. So you'll be able to follow along and hear it on your end. So with that, I'm going to get started. Hey, Claudio, how are you doing today? Thank you so much for
Hey,
your time, and I really
Claudio, wie
appreciate it.
geht es dir heute?
Thank you so much for your time, and I really appreciate it.
Vielen Dank für Ihre Zeit. Und ich schätze es wirklich.
I hope everyone enjoyed the questions, and I hope they were very exciting and knowledgeable.
Ich hoffe, dass die Fragen allen gefallen haben und ich hoffe, dass sie sehr spannend und sachkundig waren.
It's amazing,
And
Jordan. I'm floored, by the quality of the translation. And these are somewhat easy kind of translation sentences. I'm
mhm,
curious though, if some of our viewers changed the language to another
mhm,
language, maybe Yash.
mhm,
If so, let us know in the
mhm.
chat how it works. It even works on my phone, says Kai, and you probably switched it to German as well, right? So, but this is really, really amazing, and we can get back to the screen
Mhm,
in just a second again. But this is
mhm,
absolutely amazing. So, what you have done here is
mhm,
created something where I can speak in my language
mhm,
and everybody who's out there, whether they are speaking German, Italian,
mhm,
Spanish, French, Mandarin, whatever, they
mhm.
hear what you are saying in their language.
Completely. And then also just to take it one step further is obviously that was just a quick sample with just me talking to the audience, right? Where you guys said it all in your language. Say I was
Hmm.
interviewing you, Claudio, with it. I could be like right next to you, or we could be across the world like we are now. I can
Hmm.
speak in English. On your side, because there's a separate view for the presenters, you would see it displayed in German and you'd also hear it in German. You can talk back to me in German. I'll receive it in English, totally in real time as we're having a real conversation like this, while the audience members can follow along in any of the languages we support. So people could be following along in Spanish, in Chinese, in Japanese, whatever it may be. So there could be 30 different languages all following along, while we're speaking two different languages that they even aren't following along with in the audience. So it's really exciting to just bring everyone together on a show or in a group setting where there's who knows how many languages there are, which is really exciting.
Absolutely mind boggling. Now, of course, this is still in the early stages. And the one thing is, it's
Correct.
not as fluid yet. And there is
Mhm.
also quite some latency there, it seems.
Yes. Hmm.
How are you seeing this being
Hmm.
developing so that it's
Hmm.
nearly real time? I know there
Yes.
is no such thing as real time, but you know,
Mhm. Correct. So on my device, I actually set it to a time delay of 1 second after I stop talking for it to submit my audio, speech to that, so for submit for everyone to hear it. You can actually change that on our side, so you
mhm.
can or the presenter can change it, so if you want it to be point 0.2 of a second, point 0.4, point 0.6, point 0.8, or if you really want a bigger pause, you can do that as well. That's all options within the program. So like I said, it can be as close to real time as possible. We purposely wait for a pause to submit the audio. And the main reason for that is for the accuracy levels. We can do it in complete real time, as you were mentioning. But the one thing to remember is when you go from a Latin based language like English to a non Latin based language, say Thai or Arabic,
Mhm.
the accuracy can go down because those languages are do it based on the full phrase or the full sentence to get the meaning of what's being said. While in Latin or Latin-based languages, you can do pretty much word per word and be almost just as accurate. It just doesn't carry the accuracy into those other non-Latin languages. So if we do real time, you might have some errors there or some not high accuracy.
Amazing, amazing. So you are not doing it word by word by word, right? Not really translation. You are doing more of an interpretation of
Yes,
the
correct.
spoken words, right?
Yep,
Now,
100%.
now it goes both ways, right? We have
Mhm.
words and we have sentences and paragraphs, and then on the other side we have the single letters. And this brings me
Mhm.
to our next little trivia question,
Yep. Mhm.
and that is, what language has the most
Mhm.
letters in its
Oh.
alphabet?
Mhm.
Is it A, Thai, B, Greek, C, Khmer, or D, Russian? Again, what language has the most letters in its
Mhm.
alphabet? Is it A, Thai, B, Greek, C,
Mhm.
Khmer, or D, Russian? And while we are waiting for the comments coming in, Nathan just made a comment here. This tech is a
Oh.
sure game changer for life in general,
Mhm.
not just
Oh.
in business, right? And it absolutely true. Absolutely true. Yes, Kai, this one is difficult.
Yep.
Yash takes a good guess with D.
Mm.
Um, we have A, Thai. And anybody else who has a guess? Just take a stab at it. Thai,
Mhm.
Greek, Khmer, or Russian. I think all of these have more than English. English actually had a fairly limited alphabet. You know, if you think about it,
Yes,
26 is not that much.
26. Yep, correct. Yep, it's
And
we have a very small alphabet, but a lot of words that make no sense.
and
So, pick
Vinod
your
is just
favorite.
going straight through with BBBBs. Earl is guessing Thai. A. I'm not sure if Nathan has put in a guess yet. No, not yet. Might have been called. Yes, he was called off. I know that. So, do you know the answer to this one, Jordan?
This is
It's a
this
tricky
is the
one.
first. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would agree with that. This is the first one I don't think I actually know the answer to, but I get guess. I have a feeling. I don't know how true this is. I'm gonna go with C. I just have a weird feeling it could be C, but I don't actually know the answer. This is actually a really good question, so this may stump me on this one.
All right, all right. So, since I don't have my sound effects, here we go. Ding!
Ah, yes. Okay, that's good.
It is Khmer, and I was baffled by this, right? Because I live in Thailand, and Thailand has a fairly
Yep.
extensive
Yes, it
alphabet
does.
with
Mhm.
uh, 44 letters, and Khmer 74. Now, some of these are deprecated, right? They're not in use anymore in the written language, but nevertheless, 74 characters in the alphabet. And there we go complain when we have to learn the English alphabet from
Yeah.
from A to Z, you know? So very,
Yes.
very, very interesting stuff. What do you think in your does it matter in your technology what languages that you're dealing with, in terms of alphabets, in terms of vocabulary and so on? Or is it all just one big bucket out there and you're pulling pieces from it? How exactly does
Mhm.
it work?
Exactly how you just mentioned there with essentially with the bucket, right? We have all the words in the library. We have everything that's there. We get a lot of feedback from, like I said, AI with it, right? So customer feedback when translations get flagged as incorrect, we'll get the correct answer. We teach the system. The system learns on its own through machine learning, and it keeps getting better and better and better. We train it on millions upon millions upon billions of data points, so it keeps getting better as time goes on. We get
Mhm.
human translators to actually review our translations, and they will actually give us the results back, and we'll teach our system based on what the humans provide, as we realize humans are more accurate than the computer is typically when it comes to language. But then we make the computer get as accurate as humans, right? Or more so, make it quicker and everything like that. So it doesn't matter what the amount of characters are, what the amount of alphabet is, anything like that. We have it all covered in our system. for all the 104 languages that we do, plus the different dialects. So it's a lot of fun. Our servers are absolutely massive at this point in time, which is fun as a tech person to see all that. But to make translation happen, it's a pretty magical experience. Just from a
Hmm.
tech standpoint, and then also when you're receiving it on the front end, it's really really amazing. And oh, I just see a question came in. Sorry. Who would you recommend which plan of your app to? Oh, there you go. Thank you. I can see better now. Uh, who would you recommend which plan of your app? Oh, so our app can be used by for anyone. Our programs, I should say. All of our tools are either website plugins, which we call just JavaScript lines of code to add to your websites. We also have APIs to go into mobile apps or websites or anything like that. We also have a back end tool, or excuse me, I should say a front end tool that you can access via our website. If you go to letschat.com, you can create an account and use our tools immediately, right then and there. And then you can subscribe or anything you want to some of our other tools, like our podcast tool. You can let us know and get you set up with that if it's something you'd like to try. Just reach out to me or reach out to our team afterwards to get started with anything. Happy to hop on a call and talk some more.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. So let's take this brief moment here and bring up another trivia question. And the
Hey.
one before was very, very difficult. I think this one here might be a little bit easier on our brain cells. What is the second most translated book in the world? Again, the second most translated book in the world. Is it A, the Bible, B, the Tao Te Ching, C, The Little Prince, or D, The Communist Manifesto? The second most translated book in the world. Is it A, the Bible, B, Tao Te Ching, C, The Little Prince, or D, The Communist Manifesto? Let's look at the comments. I think today
And
YouTube is a little bit slow. Kai is guessing C, The Little
mhm.
Prince.
This is a really
Do
good
we
question, by the way.
have?
I do not know the answer either on this one. I can take a guess once we're done here, but this is a
Okay,
really good
all right,
question.
all right. We have C as well with Yash with C as well, and everybody else might be. To be all right. Vinod, I love that consistency here. You're gonna go with B.
Yes.
I love it. Have we had a B yet today? I'm not even sure.
No,
I'm not
I
sure.
don't think we have.
Yeah, I don't think so. So who knows? Maybe Vinod is on to something here. All right. So let's reveal the answer after I ask you, Jordan. What is
Uh,
your best guess on the
oh,
second most translated book?
well, I'm fairly confident the Bible is number one. So number two, I'm going to take a random guess in the dark here.
Mhm.
I'm going to try with D. I'm going to guess with D. I don't know how true that is, but I'm going to take D as my guess.
The Communist Manifesto. And by the way, all of these are in the
Yep.
top 10, right? All of them are
Yep.
in the top 10, just a little bit jumbled. And yes, you're right. The Bible
Oh,
is the
okay.
most translated
Okay, good.
book and apparently into thousands of languages. I
Oh,
forgot,
yeah.
I saw the number when I was putting these
Yes.
questions together, and it's somewhere 6,000 languages or something. It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
an unbelievable number. So
It's
it's not the
crazy.
Bible. The correct answer is Ding, The
Oh,
Little
wow.
Prince, which was translated into 380 different languages. Wow.
Wow, that's cool. Okay, that was actually my last guess. I didn't know. Okay, that was good. Okay, that was a really good
Right,
question. I like that one.
right, right. We are moving on in time. I think I have one more question. Let's just bring this one in very quickly as well. And that is, how many official languages does the United Nations have? And we all know, in the United Nations, you have these
Mhm,
batteries of translators, and there are a lot of languages spoken, of course.
mhm,
But how many of these languages are considered official languages
mhm.
of the United Nations? Is it A, 4, B, 5, C, 6, or D, 7? So again, how many official languages does the United Nations have? 4,
Hmm.
5, 6, or 7? Let's see. I think today YouTube is really, really slow here. We go with B, 5. Okay, Kai and Yash go with B. Of course, Vinod goes with B as well, Earl as well. So I maybe have given it away before when I said, do we already have a B or not? But what is your info on this one, Jordan? Do you know?
I believe I want to say I like the B, but I don't think it's 5. I think it's 6. I think if I recall correctly, I think 6 is the number of official languages at the UN.
If you ever have a chance to participate in the Price is Right or what, no, the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire kind of thing,
Yes, yeah, 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 yeah. Well,
you should.
if it's
And then
language
just go
related.
go with your hunches because ding, you are
Oh,
correct again. It is
okay, good.
6 languages. And for those who want to know what those 6 languages are, they are
Oh, I was gonna
Arabic,
say, okay.
Chinese, English, French, Russian, and Spanish. All
Mhm,
right. So that's so much for our trivia. And we are
mhm,
almost at the end here. Jordan, in just about 2 minutes, where is this all
mhm,
going? Are we moving towards a world, toward a future that was, part of the Hitchhiker's Guide of the galaxy, where we can put
mhm,
a small little device into our
mhm,
ear and whatever language it detects, it will
mhm,
translate? And if so, what's your best guess on how far away are
mhm,
we from this
mhm,
type of communication or barrierless communication?
mhm. Great question. And yeah, so there currently actually today are some tools like you can even use on your phone with mobile apps to actually communicate like that in real person, kind of similar to like so the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. More important though, I think in the near future, or even in the not so distant future, everything's now going to be multilingual, right? Whether it's from Let's Chat or other companies pushing it forward, is that I think everything you go to a restaurant, you'll be able to order in your language. You'll be able to get the food in your, or I guess the food will always be food, but you'll be able to see everything in your language. The employees will be able to get it in their language. It's the technology is getting there with us, hopefully leading the forefront with it, is making it where the whole world is going to be inclusive, where you can show up anywhere in the world, do any activity you want, regardless of who you're interacting with someone in person, and you'll be able to communicate with them, whether it's through a device, whether it's through your phone, whether it's through a website, a mobile app, whatever it may be. Just having the ability where you don't have to learn that language, you can just speak what you feel comfortable in and feel welcome doing whatever activity you need to do. And I think that's going to be here in the next 2 years with everything.
Wow.
Mhm.
So, is there still an incentive to learn languages?
100%. Yep. So I definitely think learning languages is still a big thing with it. I think people will always enjoy learning languages all throughout time. I don't think there's any reason not to learn a language. But I think this is going to make it easier for people who haven't had the opportunity to learn a language. If you're immigrating to a new country, if you have lived somewhere or you're traveling or anything like that, just having the option to just try to go through your day without a barrier is what this is going to help with. But I think people are still going to learn language. We're still going to need translators. We're still going to need, linguists out there. But this
Yeah.
will help for the everyday person trying to do business or just go through their day.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Absolutely. So, kids out there, learn languages for sure, because it's
Please.
really something
Yes.
that happens with your brain as well in terms
Mhm,
of expanding your worldviews.
mhm,
And with
mhm.
that, I want to thank you, Jordan, many, many, many times. And from the bottom of my
Thank you.
heart,
Thank
to
you.
come back to the zone and share your
Oh,
latest product. And
mhm,
I want to thank everybody who joined us here live today as well. Thank you. Thanks for playing along. And thanks to everybody who's watching the replay. And with that,
mhm,
I wish you a wonderful morning, afternoon,
mhm,
evening, wherever you are in the world. And we shall
mhm.
see each other again next week. Bye.